Howdy. So tonight we have a lot of details to fill in. I'm gonna get things like these teeth, a little eye socket thing, some other stuff on here as well.
There's a
Got
good
the
chance
bottom
somebody's
half
trying to hack your website right now. You
of
gotta
the
make sure you're
old
covered.
model.
I'm talking about enterprise-grade
These weird
security built
mandible
into your
things,
site
some
and
sort of
fully
tongue
managed
deal.
for you.
Got all
Check
this bone
this
work
out.
out here. There's some more metal stuff we got to do. This
First
is a
up,
decent amount.
prevention.
To start,
The
I'm
Wix
going to hit
platform is
all the
secure by
things that are
design.
going to get a contrast paint or that shouldn't
Security
have
experts are in the dev process, performing threat modeling,
Death Guard green
penetration
underneath them.
tests, and
Gonna hit
designing
them
code reviews.
some
You
wraith
get a
bone,
strong encryption
and I'm
for
doing
your
that
data
early
in
so
transit
that
and data
as
at
I do
rest.
other steps, this can
E-com
dry.
sites, Wix is compliant
And
with the
then
highest level
we'll
of
be good to go.
PCI
I don't need to
DSS,
double
and it
coat
doesn't
this.
stop there.
Doesn't need. I'm
The
not
top
turning this
international
stuff
privacy and security
absolutely white.
regulations, they're all in
But
place.
I don't want to start
You
from
see,
green.
it's all
I
about
think I
staying
can
ahead of the
probably
game.
leave that
Real-time detection.
that
Wix
orb
security
eye
never
thing
sleeps.
as it
Never.
is.
24/7,
Yeah,
365.
I'm just gonna
The
get in
Security
here
Operations Center is on a mission to
pre-coat
monitor
some
and hunt
stuff.
down threats.
I think
Plus,
the
anti-DDoS
teeth
protection,
and mandibles
data
are going to get. What did I
analysis,
say?
machine learning. And let's not forget,
They're gonna get
the
skeleton
number one
board,
rule in cybersecurity
to leave them a
nobody is
decent
100%
light brown sort of
unhackable.
color.
That's why Wix goes all out with a bug bounty program for independent security researchers,
And
aka
then,
ethical hackers.
well,
And that's
while
not
this
all.
is drying in prep
It's time for response.
steps,
Even in the unlikely
I'm not
event of an
really all
extreme
that satisfied
situation,
with how
your
green
business stays up and running.
this
The IR
is with
team
just
gets
the
it done.
primer and
You're
the
trained to
wash
act
on it,
fast,
so I'm going to
and
hit
it's
it
an
with
ECP for
some
reliable continuation
grime.
and smooth
It'll be
recovery.
fun.
So look,
And
you take care of
by
business.
listening to
Security's on Wix.
something is possible. Let me know if that's still coming through. It might have been picking up something from my headphones on the other desk. That's certainly possible. I just muted my other computer. I'm doing good, Pira. I'm doing really good. It was a good day of work. Ate a good dinner. Reasonably chilled out. And happy to keep this thing moving. The hope here is that I plow through enough of this. Nice, okay, I think I fixed it. Sweet. Hope is that I get enough of this white done ahead of time. Actually gonna pull this guy off of this base. Yeah. So I can get around him a little easier. I'll just save that off to the side. We're eventually going to add some color to this guy, and a lot of the color work really doesn't need to be done over Death Guard green. And obviously, there's some detail underneath there that I eventually have to hit. So all the fleshy stuff, all the organic stuff, and to some extent, some of the inorganic stuff, is going to get this wraithbone treatment. Try not to be too haphazard, but I'm also not worried about it. It's one thin coat. And if it's a little irregular, that's fine, because we're dealing with mostly organic parts. So if it's a little motley underneath, that's fine. They're not going to be the happiest organics, so if a little bit of green is showing through, as long as it's like not a missing spot, that's actually pretty cool. It'll keep it from looking like it's a completely painted on situation or a really ornate one like you get with any sort of corn demony stuff. It's like, yeah, it's organic, but like it's like an extremely strong red vibe going to the point where they almost look like they're wearing a suit, which is a good thing. They're otherworldly. Here it's like kind of gloppy. Gloppy gross is what we're going for. Like Tyranids definitely end up with like some pretty bright, extremely consistent color work on them. And that makes sense there. Get those like purples and blues coming through. And there you'd want a base coat that was pretty strong. I do have to pick and choose how I enter these weird angles. But it's not too bad. Most of how this model is built does give you a few decent gaps here and there to work with, which is nice. I hope everybody had a good day out there. The weather was beautiful out here. It was like 75 degrees, sunny, very pleasant. A far cry from all the rain we've been getting consistently. There we go. So for the most part, other than that skeleton horde, I'm probably going to at least start with Gilliman flesh on some of the mouth bits, and then I may hit them with a drastically different colored wash after that. So they'll share some amount of that same base color of blah for the fleshy bits on here. Then they'll get, I don't know, either a purple or a darker red. It's warm in the UK today. How warm was it? And yes, I can sort of mentally translate centigrade to Fahrenheit. Yeah, drizzle can be nice. So some of this is a little bit of a pain to get to, but definitely not as much of a pain as human or Astartes size models. There's a little bit, enough of a gap. And I'm finding a couple little spots now that this is flipped over that I obviously couldn't reach when I was doing the flesh bits before. So this is good that I'm getting in here. Better angle, though it's extremely convenient to be able to have this guy on his base for a little while in those first steps. And just keep spinning him around and looking. And I do still have there's considerable amount of metal work to still do on here. You got to be careful with this model because until it's put together, these tank tread things, these half tracks, they're on there very soft. They're only connected via there. They've got like a long strut. It isn't really connected to much, so you're just relying on the flexibleness of plastic. It's a little scary, not terribly scary. All right, a couple other little spots in here to get to. Just poke in there, get it. You've got to bear in mind, you always want to, especially with a weird model like this, like, oh, it's a tank. And it's like, no, it's a tank like that. You just want to keep in mind what you can see versus what you can't. I'm not saying to be lazy, but like you shouldn't lose your mind. If you're being present about what is shown on the model, if you're trying to get this ready for the table, or even a diorama, like, don't lose your mind over a spot you're never going to see. I say that very calmly, knowing that I often miss spots and have to go back, and so that's on me. But you want to sort of pick and choose your battles as best you can. That looks pretty good. Is there anything else white I need to hit? A couple little spots here. Good. I'm still in good shape. Make sure I'm not wiping paint all over the place. Couple little spots that'll need a little extra Gilliman love. This back piece right here I never got. Has a little bit of flesh before the pincer thing sticks out. And I'm actually going to hit the pincer thing as well, because it'll get Gilliman on that piece of flesh that I missed, but it'll get skeleton horde on the little stabby bit, so it kind of matches the front side mandibles. Fleshy goodness. This guy's happy. All right, so I hit all those. I think I can let that dry by moving on to some lead belcher. 10 to 15. So this is a comfortable temperature for me. Yeah. High today was 20 in my area. Nice. Yeah, that's reasonable. Very reasonable. All right. It's warp lock bronze. We don't need that yet. We need lead belcher. And I may need more lead belcher soon. Find out if I can thin this stuff out at all. That'd be awesome if I got through a whole pot of lead belcher. I'd pour that stuff on. All right, so here we got a lot of work to do. Definitely a hefty amount of work. This is my starter brush. It is absolutely dried to a crust. Not using that guy. Yeah, 29 to 30 is cooking for you guys. It's funny how different locations, you know, I don't want to say perceive temperature differently, but they kind of do. And my friends in Brazil have a very different opinion of what warm is versus what cold is. And I think that whole thing is pretty darn neat. Oh, there's a spot that I missed. That's what happens when you take a brief moment to look at things. I got to hit these little bone nuggets up here. I don't know what they're supposed to be. Are they like mufflers? Bone mufflers? Mm-hmm. Yep, 40s for real. It actually does get considerably hot where I'm at in Rhode Island um, in the summertime. But yeah, once you get in the 40s, it's pretty dangerous out there. We don't generally get that high up out here, but I was when I think of Australia, when I think of temperatures, I always remember midnight oil. That one line was like 45 degrees. It's like when I was a kid, I was like 45 degrees isn't hot. It's like, oh, beds are burning video and out there in the outback and it's scorching. He's like, it's 45 degrees. I was like, man, that's not bad at all. Oof, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but man, the weather was odd this year. The patterns just seem to be shifting. We got an amazing amount of rain. More rain than I remember a long time. We got no snow last year. But I'm guessing this year we're going to get dumped on. All right, get these little bone mufflers. Like a little crown, sort of. Kind of neat. Get in there. And these guys will also get skeleton horde. And there's little like holes on the front of it. I'll figure something out. I might just dab those with a little bit of wash. Something a little dark to make them pop out. I do think I have some contrast paints that are in the purple range. And purple's kind of neat. I've never really messed with it all that much. I probably should get a little used to it with Mortarion lurking. Gonna come up someday. Yeah. Florida's no joke, my friend. I lived there for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, when I went to video game school. And it took a while. They say, like, if you're down there long enough, they say your blood thins. And it really does feel like that. Like, it takes a while to get used to it, but then your body sort of takes it as status quo and can handle it a little bit better. But if you just go for a vacation, that's a lot of adjustment to make. A lot. And for me, it was my sinuses that bothered the daylights out of me. Because for the first like month or so before I was used to it, everything down there is air conditioned all the time. Your apartment's always going to be crazy air conditioned. Every place you go is. So I was going in and out. We're going from high humidity, high heat to low humidity, low heat, back and forth. Every time I go outside in between things, like you get up in the morning, your apartment's cold. You leave the house to get to your car, glasses fog up. Get in your car, wipe off your glasses. It's cold in your car, so you crank your air conditioning. You get to where you're going, like in my case, class. You get out, your glasses fog up again. Wipe them down. Go into class. Come out for a cigarette. Glasses fog up. It was pretty hilarious. All right, is there anything else that needs white here? I think, yeah, there's a little bit of body glop on this gun arm. So I'll just sneak in there a little bit. So my second pass of shaky hand. My second pass of Gilliman flesh, I'll make sure to hit this. This white color will definitely call it out. Where does the flesh end and the machine begin? With a demon engine, it is hard to tell. That's a little bell. I got a little bell on it. That's cute. Yeah, I think if I had my druthers, as they say, I think something near the water, not horribly hot. I think I probably prefer a lake to the ocean. You get a lot of mosquitoes as soon as you're near a lake, so I might take that back someday. Might live to regret it. I do like the ocean. I'm terrified of the ocean. That's where sharks are from. But I do like the ocean. I still go out on the ocean, but I constantly think about the fact that it's like you're very quickly getting out to a depth where, like, if you tied a piece of concrete to your shoe and jumped, you just keep going down, 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 down. But I do love fishing. I do love fishing in the ocean, so I force myself to do it. All right. Now I think we can go on to what does it make sense to go to next. I should do lead belcher next. There is a decent amount of stuff to hit. Yeah, I do. When I say further north, it's funny because I'm like, yeah, I think about moving further north, but I would still be in the United States most likely. Yeah, I think about like New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, but there's an upper limit to how much I need to be close to very fast internet in a winter. I'd want to be pretty rural if I was going to move that way, and I need my internet no matter what. I have to get like satellite or something like that. All right, so I'll decide in the next 5 minutes, but I need to figure out what I would do with the tank treads. I think on my Plague Burst Crawler, I hit them with black and then put a bunch of basing material on them so they look dirty. They're thoroughly dirty. But I may just give them silver over this whole thing. Because if I grime it down and then I cover it up, yeah, I don't want to switch paints. I'll just trying to knock the green down a bit. And here I don't have to be super careful. Maybe I need a bigger brush. Let's get a workhorse brush in here. Get this party moving. Big brush, big brush. We have a big brush. Dry brush. There we go. There we go. Big brush. But I do every year, and I've done this for like a long time now. I'll take a vacation to like a lake house. You can just Airbnb it and get one for a pretty reasonable price if you're fast enough on the draw. I used to go with buddies, a group of friends. Now I just go with my family. But I like to fish. I like to fish a lot. And so just being someplace peaceful on a lake, 12-year-old can swim, it's quiet, fish, it's a good time. In fact, I did it this year for July 4th, which was nice to be out of town for July 4th. It's my youngest kid's birthday week. She's actually born on the 5th. We thought she was going to be July 4th, but it seemed like she was going to squeeze out, and then she chilled out for a few hours. But my parents met us up there. My parents only live like 90 minutes away from me, which is pretty cool. It's not they're not right on top of me, but they can come hang out whenever. And that was fun. Just had a whole week chilling out. I actually posted a short from there. I put typhus together while I was like staring out at a lake. It was a lot of fun. All right, this is going to be a little precarious inside here with this big boy brush, but I'm not going to stress. Thin this stuff out a little bit. Clean the brush up. I am thinning this lead belcher out quite a bit. It doesn't need to be crazy. I'm not expecting a ton of this green to show through, but this thing, like, I tend to wash truly military stuff like treads pretty heavily in black wash afterwards, so not to fear. I'll probably drop some rust in there, rise of rust, just to make sure that it looks properly beat up, corroded a bit, corrupted, if you will. Yeah, Melbourne is probably not Melbourne. Um, I don't think I work with. There's one designer that I work with that's in Australia. He's not like on my team, but in my last job, we had a whole studio that was out in Australia, and like their weather was nuts. It's just getting more extreme, like less dependable, more extreme. It's the way of things. I mean, there have been tornadoes. I gotta tell you, Rhode Island is not like Tornado Alley, or at least isn't known for it yet. We had tornadoes the other week, and it wasn't the first time this year. Not big ones, not like, you know, you and your little dog are gonna go to a far off land for a while and click your heels. You know, not crazy ones, but we had them. I shouldn't be messing around with this big brush on this piece. That's a little bit detailed. Oh, I nailed it though. Nah, I got over it. I didn't quite nail it. Boop. All right, yep. This right here is good. Ah, okay, that makes sense. Fishing canal, that sounds like fun. So it's probably an industrial fishing canal. That's pretty metally. And underneath there, scooching in there is pretty metally. Sets of treads, pretty decent. Obviously, way too shiny. Ah, I gotta get inside there. Always more to hit. All right, so I'm gonna give the big boy brush a little bit of a rest. Try to hit some more details more gingerly now. Yeah, nope, maybe go even smaller. Take a look at what I've got here. Hold this very carefully. I've got on both sides, I got a couple of these tubes. Makes sense to hit with some metal. Maybe I will go with the slightly bigger brush. That's pretty dope. They used to have a castle. I love stuff like that. Obviously, being in America, there's not very many things that go back that far. Like, I'm in New England, so like things go back about as far as they can, at least for white folks out here. But you're talking like it's possible that I could get a house. I'm not saying that I could afford one, but like if I was buying a house, I could find one that was built. Not a big problem to find one from the 1700s. Most of those from the 1600s are probably just purely historical sites now. But like if I was just looking at general purpose house listings, finding one from the 1800s would be like no problem whatsoever. There we go. Yeah, this brush is fine. I'm being careful. I'm a little bit more coordinated than I used to be. Not much, but enough. We're gonna get some of this done a little bit faster. Yeah. There we go. And yeah, that's the underneath, so you're not gonna see much of it, but you'll see some of it, and you'll be proud. Okay. If I turn it like this, I should just splotch in there a little bit. Now I'm actually starting to watch for little angles where if I'm looking at this from the side, am I accidentally leaving some inappropriate spots of primer? Just paying attention to those little, like this little here, just glop right in there. It's good to go. It's impossible to tell if that was mechanical or not, but you can tell if it just looks green. All right, now I'm being super careful around these little circular doohickeys. And they have like a bevel to their edge. I'm just going to let the brush kind of hug the thing and then skedaddle. There we go. Try to find a good angle to get in here from. That just reminded me that I need to hit this guy. All right, I probably have two circular guys over here. And I do. And I got more pipes. Pipes and tubes. There will be more warp lock bronze to add to this thing, but I'm not going to do it right after this step. When I get to that step, I need to be able to hold on to the other part of the model because I've been making very good use of this spine and this back piece. And those are both getting bronze, so I got to be at a spot where I can handle the model without those as a crutch. There we go. So our next step will probably be griming up that green. Yeah, I should do that. I'm going to give this a little bit longer to dry. But there's still plenty of metallics on here, so I ain't there yet. It's good to think one step ahead, but not too much. Finish the job you're working on. I think I have Monday off. Posted two pictures of how it looked then, how it is now. Nice. I'll check those out in a second. Very cool. I think I have Monday off of work. I'm gonna verify that. It's a holiday. It's Indigenous Peoples Day. Should be sweet because I think I'm out of town Sunday night. I think I'm in New York State. A buddy of mine wanted me to play test a game that he's working on, a physical game. I think that's the weekend it is. If I didn't have to work Monday, it would mean I wouldn't have to get a motel, or I could get a motel and wouldn't have to rush back, which would be nice. Sweet. Pop through the windows here. So many windows. There's so many things I say I'll get to eventually, but I will actually get to a point where I set up OBS where I can just put it up on the screen that I can actually watch here. Oh, sweet. I love maps like this. Absolutely. That's really cool. Absolutely love that stuff. Very, very cool. I think I forgot some flesh on that side. What a pity. So, carefully spin this guy a little bit. This side. This is a cute, cute model. I like it a lot. Just dabbing. I'm going to leave that and do it in bronze. I think. That might look good. Yeah, I'll leave it as bronze. A special place in my heart for all that bronze stuff. I will. What else will I do? What else will I do? Don't threaten me with a good time. That's all metal in there. Though I've got to hit the spots a little bit better. There we go. You flip it over and you start finding all kinds of missing stuff. Get in there. Yeah, right in that crease. A little bit more tubing over here. And this cornucopia of fiddly bits. Someone posted on Reddit, I think it was today or yesterday. They were like, is Death Guard for real? Like, you ever think it's too many details? Like, yeah, sometimes I feel that way. But man, when I get done, do I feel good about it? But in the process, you do constantly miss stuff. It's a doozy. Every corner you turn, there's a tentacle. There's technically a tentacle, or something else like it. All right. What next? What next? What next? This. Where did I say there was some flesh that I missed? Yeah, the backside of that gun. Can this guy sit this way? No, he can't. But he can just sit straight because he's on posts. So he's patient, and I know that I've definitely forgotten something that gets lead belcher. Actually, I'll just do this right now. Pick this guy up real quick. Just put a little dab around where this eye thing is. Gets a little shiny around there, hopefully without hitting the bronze. There we go. That's good. That's good. Whenever I'm near wherever is left of the castle, I will post it on Discord for you. Sweet. Sweet. It's pretty amazing how intercontinental this tiny little stream is. I love it. I get to say the word intercontinental and mean it. All right. So this is Skeleton Horde. As I said, it's going to go on a lot of the white stuff that is mandibles, go on the bones that are here. I'm going to do those last because I grip that thing a lot. And I'm trying to be careful. I'll do these and that tail. These mandibles are going to get this like, what? And this is contrast paint. Oh yeah, it's gonna look dope. That's gonna look dope. Oh, going Elder Scrolls on me. You know, I like to think that short of Nurgle's own rival buddies that are hanging out too close by, I think Nurgle gets along with just about everybody. I don't know if Mora. It's a tough call. Tough call because they operate like. Yeah, I think they probably would. I think they probably would. They both have like decent long view. All right, and so I'm gonna not hit that weird, disgusting mouth thing in there with this coat, and I'll find something else pretty to put on there. Oh, this is so confusing. I might actually have to go over a couple little bits here with metal. Some of it's organic, some of it's metallic now that I take a look closer. So weird. So weird you are, model. I need to hold it the other way so I can see all the stuff. You're gonna get that brown stuff for now, buddy. You're gonna be a skeleton horde thing for now, and then you'll get some purple. I think I'll use purple on this. Why not? Purple's fun. Dab in there and dab in there. Get in there. Set this guy aside for a second. Give this guy dental treatment. I don't know. How do you feel about the Nurgle and Mora debate? Like, it's a little tough for me because the universes are so different. I wonder if my opinion would be different, that they wouldn't get along depending on which universe they were talking about, or if it's like a multiverse where they're both part of the same space. There you go. Get nice brown teeth. I need to find a pretty color. Let's contrast. I'll go over my table. I think I got a purple contrast over there somewhere. I think. Magos purple. I'm not sure I've ever really used this. Have I used it? I think I used it a little bit in the glitter formula that I did for Typhus, and that might have been it. There we go. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. That is good stuff. That is disgusting. It's a good start. It's a good start. Get all the way in that weird mouth. Look at that maw the thing has. So grody. Get a little bit up here. Sort of transition into from this purple to this skeleton horde. Oh yeah, you're disgusting, buddy. Thread the needle. And then I'll actually hit the fleshier spot down here with it, so it sort of carries over. Looks like a nice hungry mouth. Mouths to feed. It's a little bit white. May have to hit it with something else. I'm not too worried about it. Okay, well, I've still got some stuff to hit with Skeleton Horde, but now I feel pretty confident that I can do that safely. So this thing This little nubbin on the back will get some. And these guys, I said, would get it, and they will. And I'm going to go over the entirety of these little muffler things, and then I'll hit those little dots, little exhaust ports, separately over everything. That's a lot. Spread that out a little bit. I feel like initially it might be pals, but then later plot against each other. Just attempt to overpower, corrupt the other. Yeah, I sort of feel like it would be a strange, like, I don't want to say a gentleman's agreement, but like I think they would continuously try to corrupt each other, but like they would sort of get used to it. Like that friend you have where you always have to like double check that they're not hiding behind a door to like boom. They might have a good time. Like a very proper rivalry. An eternal rivalry. Like, yeah, they both figure probably never really gonna get over on the other one. But I wouldn't want my buddy to get lazy and lose their sense of humor. Every once in a while, I'll just keep them on their toes. All right, so this crown of stuff is largely done. I can set that down now. And this might need another pass of Skeleton Horde. Might not. But I know that I have some places where I could use a little bit more Gilliman flesh. Yeah, it's interesting to think about that. Very interesting. I think they're both very cool with the long game, which actually came up a lot when I was reading The Lords of Silence and how Vorks was like, hey, dude, like, according to us, Nurgle was like the first of these great powers, the primordial ooze that everything came back to, and all we're doing is bringing things back home the way they started. And it's like an interesting way to think about it. You think of all the creation myths, and it's like, well, and then you just think about scientific understanding of like how life starts, and that's straight up Nurgle right there. Primordial ooze. Circumstances that make life. Oh, yeah, this is going to benefit from a little bit more Gilliman flesh. I like a little bit more Gilliman flesh. And I can see in there a little bit better. Yeah. Second coat of Gilliman flesh will do. Will do. And how? And I'm a little safer with it now that the metallics are around it. It's really easy to make out clearly where one thing stops and another thing begins. That's certainly helpful. We'll have to get all these bands done at some point. But for now, yeah, see these little white bits. I can see you now. Almost accidentally grabbed purple. There we go. A little bit in here. Spot where I missed lead belcher. There we go. You're going where the paint tells me to. Oh yeah, it's meaty. Meaty demon engine. My window's open a little bit, so if you hear weird stuff like a train going by, that's where it's from. All right, I am going to jump on that bit of lead belcher if I can find it again. These things get lost so easily. Purple stays out in case I need it again. Lead Belcher. I may need a stronger purple. I don't know if I have a stronger purple. Where was that thing that I saw? Tube pipe somewhere. I've lost it. So close I had it. Ah, there it is. Yeah, so speaking of that fight between Mortarion and Gilliman, and I think the Plague Wars is like 3 books. And a lot of it is like really interesting lead up before they get into that fight. But one of the things that comes up in there is like Tzeentch is like flexing on Nurgle, and Mortarion's like, yeah, but I gotta go mess up Gilliman. I gotta go mess up Gilliman. Even like Typhus gets on the phone and it's like, yo man, Granddad says we gotta go take care of business. And Mortarion's just like so obsessed with Gilliman that he does not follow his orders, essentially. Typhus is like, yo, don't forget who we work for. You gonna get in trouble. And he does. And he does. As does Kugath, big old former first demon. Everybody gets in trouble. Forget who the boss is. Don't do that. Alright, so with those metallics done in tow, you get on better with Tzeentch. I know for sure because he's into knowledge, yeah. I do like, in so many role-playing games and other games, like the idea of how pantheons work. It's so like old school when people think about ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and this idea that there's like the soap opera going on behind the scenes. I think that stuff's awesome. Ah, that's good tea. All right. I think it is time to get into some slightly more greenery. Give this brush another little swish over here. Move on to my danger brush. And get my green on. Pull out the green cauldron. And bloop. Some always spills out, but that's fine. A little blessing to Nurgle. Now we're going to properly get in the green zone that I know and love. I wonder if I can pick up all this glop that's at the bottom of here just by that in. Oh yeah, welcome home. That's the green we love. Nice and slimy. Oh, I missed you, slimy grime dark. You just go ahead and you pull up wherever you want, buddy. It's your show now. Slime is taking the wheel. Oh, I love this stuff. This is so this isn't the same. This stuff, like this slimy grime dark, this stuff isn't the whole cover it and wipe it away thing. This stuff is just like a very, very effective Death Guard thing. I mean, it is grime. It is slimy. It's more like a textured paint or a very heavy wash. And when I go over this with probably Agrax another time, it'll react very differently. Oh, but that stuff's just so pretty. So pretty. And like while it's moving around on the model, finding its way where it's going, there's all these little particles of swamp goodness. There we go. I mean, essentially, it's just a really dope green, and it dries very differently than like a matte finish paint. But I feel much happier about. Oops. Well, happy until I overdo it. Yoink! Get that grime off. It's just a very textured paint. It's awesome. This stuff just straight up Nurgle juice. I love it. Get on the inside of this thing. It just, such texture to it. Wish you could feel it. Like when it dries and you run your finger across it, it is not smooth. It's not quite as crazy as like typhus corrosion, but it's absolutely a textured feel to it. Oh yeah, that solves all of my woes. Nurgle in a bucket. And it is definitely good on small models when you're like getting up underneath the backpack. If it's a death guard and you're like, it's primed weird, or you like hit some white in there in some weird spot, you just put a couple little drops in there. It just finds its way around, finds itself wherever it needs to go. But it has some wash-like properties. Like it is absolutely walking right up to and hugging the side of this little piece that's eventually going to get bronzed. And you can't overdo it. Like I think I might have I just got to push this around a little bit. But it's very viscous. It hugs bolts the same way that a wash does. I think part of the reason I like it is that when you put a wash over it, because it's created so much texture, I think the wash ends up with more things to hug onto. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you're looking pretty. Good, that's not sticky anymore. Stay calm. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. We're going to work through this together. Oh yeah, and I didn't gill them and flesh that stuff, but that's okay. I'll hit that later. Look at it. It's just green. We're not covering everything. We're just making it green. Oh yeah. Look at that. It's so happy. It nicely covers big spaces. Very smooth. I'll probably have to get inside that and hit it with some metallic of some sort. Now that I'm spinning it around, I thought it would look green on the inside of that, but yeah, it's kind of like meh. Yeah, those parts will need something. Maybe I'll hit them with some red so it looks like they're lit up. There's more flesh that I didn't get. Alright, spin this guy around again. Move on to here, I think for now. I missed that spot. It also dries, I don't want to say inconsistently, but it doesn't dry flat. It dries more in certain spots than others. I think it's very susceptible to being soaked in. There we go. There we go. Yeah, now you need to dry, but it is wet stuff. It is very wet stuff. You have to absolutely chill out with it. It needs real time to dry. It's not messing around. Oh yeah, when this gets a wash on it, it's gonna look dynamite. I missed you. Never should have doubted you. It's like, I might not need it. Now that it's on there, I'm like, oh yeah, you're my jam. And if you do lay quite a bit on, because it's not really a paint, it's an effect, if some of it gets up and over on that edge, get the reference, so I don't think I get a gold star. But yeah, if you hit too much of this stuff and it goes over the side, it just kind of looks like a little bit of moss or mold has grown. It's not too big a loss. I can't believe I don't get that reference. Sounds deeply familiar, but it's not quite at the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, good. So obviously, yes, this will definitely need a wash, as I've completely gone into deep green territory with it. But I'm hyped for that. It's a good move. It's a good call, Ripley. A good call. Look at you. Yeah. Getting your parade green on. This is absolutely antithetical to what it says for the directions of this stuff. It's even more nebulous than the other AK products where they're like, put it on, wipe it off. It's an effect. This stuff just shows some guy dabbing it at like the base of a building, just tiny little dabs. I'd give it another coat near the thin parts when it's dry. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's as I was saying before, like it kind of soaks in differently in different spots. Boop. But it is very textured. It's like it eats up. It doesn't reflect a crazy amount of light to it. Like it's there's enough particles in there. Like even if you were gonna light a match, you'd want to light it off of something that was painted with this and then dried. Oh, got that undercarriage. Yep. Got that undercarriage. And light matters. Oh yeah, I just kind of nailed that a bit, but that's way underneath there. No one's gonna see that. But yeah, light and how it like reflects off of stuff, super important. The fact that this essentially gobbles up light makes it pretty cool. Pretty darn cool, if you ask me. Get these little edges just a tiny bit. Am I still even on camera? I'm like spinning around here. Here we go. Edges just a little bit. Okay, and now for safety's sake, chill out for a minute. Let this guy hang out. But even if I just look over at my other models, like this guy matches now, which is nice. The green from this, I think, is just a better contrast point for the other part of the paint job that I have going. I should see if I've got a better or thicker or stronger purple. Better, thicker, stronger, faster. I don't think I do. Carver Crimson. Astro Granite. Crack Blue. That's not going to work. Silky Gray. Yeah, maybe I'll try this out. I doubt it. I think I'm hosed. Alright. If I decide to get into blue territory, I've got some Stegodon Scale Green. But what I think is probably going to happen is that This is getting more Migos purple. I'm gonna try to make purple. Not that hard. Not that easy, but it's not that hard. Other thing is that I didn't realize how light it was gonna be. Yeah, I'll just keep adding coats. Keep adding coats. That's a smart way to do it. I'm going to queue up a couple things while this gets a little drier. I know that I can push some of this back. Lead Belcher I still need. Bronze I still need. Migos Purple I still need. Move that Stegodon back. I think I've greened up all I need to. I need Mephiston Red for the eye and the missiles. Gilliman Flesh for the numerous places that I missed. If I give this guy a few minutes of peace. Someone's posting on the Discord. Huh. Yay! That's my buddy from work. I've never met in real life, but hopefully we'll have a meetup at some point. Grimy, like Frank Grimes. Yeah, spring for the undercarriage wash. YouTube channel, so I can't participate in the live chat. Yeah, you just make a channel. You can actually just make. You can have your like Google and YouTube email, and then you could spin one off of it to just like be a YouTube channel, even if you don't use it, but it won't be attached. I mean, you can forward stuff to your regular email, but like I've got a 02 the number 40k at gmail.com. Like I have a separate brand account. You can do that if you don't want to mess up your legit Gmail account. But then you could participate. But I honestly don't mind because the people that are in this chat are nice enough to be like, hey, go over, look at your other screen. Good stuff. Oh yeah, it's way too clean at the moment. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Once this guy can be properly handled again, all the shiny is going to get essentially null oil. It's Viejo black. All of it. And then some parts of it will get a little bit of rust. Just brush a little bit of rust on there. I don't think I'm going to do Rise of Rust because that I prefer for like actual blades, but I got a Viejo rust kit. It's like 4 or 5 different ones, and there's a pretty decent like dark orange that it'll get in there. I just want to make sure that this dries just enough so that I can handle it without worrying about this thing up here. I'm just going to give it a minute. And then as this dries, I can hit all those little pock marks. It's coming along. I mean, obviously, like it looks like a proper green and tan dude. I do definitely like the color scheme now. I don't know if I should be doing this. I shouldn't mess with this guy right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, all in all, like that's a pretty solid color scheme. That looks neat when this is bronzed up. It just needs a little bit of color in a few spots to pop. Tap to touch. Oh, so the other nice thing about this green crap is that you can actually touch it, and if someone gets on, you're like, you can't. It's not a polishy looking finish, so like it won't thumbprint. I mean, I guess if like you just painted it on, you could thumbprint it, but it pretty much doesn't. Like it's just like a painting with tomato soup, except it's green. It's like a thin, granular kind of stuff. So, order of operations. I'm going to make sure I would fill in the couple spots with lead belcher that I hadn't, but I'm about to go over it in a wash, so I'll just catch those in a subsequent pass. I will grab my Viejo wash because it's cheaper. So this Viejo stuff actually came in a kit with washes that were like primary colors and green also in there. It's like red, blue, green. I can't remember what the other one is. There might be a purple one in there, which is actually really nice because sometimes you have a wash and you just want to add a little bit of color to it. So if you treat this like food coloring, you get your regular wash and you're just like deep little drip of a decent strong color can work out. I also got some stuff that is I can't remember what Citadel calls it. I'm not using that brush anymore. That's the green brush. But the stuff that makes washes, the medium, just the clear medium, you can get that from a couple companies. You can get it from Citadel. And I water down my washes, but essentially if you use this stuff, it's actually better because you won't water down the medium, and so it'll still move around and play the right way. So I will try that at some point. I don't know if this model's going to need it, but at some point. All right, so I'm going to more thoroughly rinse this brush off, the big guy that I was doing silver stuff with. I think you'll be happy to pick up a bunch of wash. Make this job go a little quicker. This thing is just, darken that up. Oh, nice and greasy. I'm absolutely going to hit these treads pretty heavily, but I think I said before, like, they're going to get covered with all sorts of basing material dirt. Let me squeeze more of this love juice out of here. There we go. Yeah, darken you right up. You look like you've been spitting out diesel for years. Get into all these bits. A nice like flat brush like this is pretty awesome on these spots because you don't have to worry about wrecking the tip of it and all of a sudden fraying it. Like, things just born to take damage. Make sure I'm getting all in those little cracks and crevasses. And I touch this, yeah, that green stuff is chilling out nicely. And like the sides of these half tracks, they have all these little bolts. You just want to get in everywhere. Get this gnarly looking. And with just a black wash and some amount of rust effect, those will look nice. A bunch of dirt on the treads. Make it look like it's been fighting in the wars. We will be in a happy place. But yeah, it needs to be darkened up so much. Bug juice, yum, yum, yum. Probably very, very healthy. Yoink, there we go. Back here, all up in there. This brush. I love the fact that like you can still see the shine, but it just blunts it heavily. This looks like it's been motor oiled up. Yoink. The nice thing is it's still just black wash. So a little bit around edges and stuff. It's not paint. Isn't a bad thing. If it a little bit sneaks off the corner, like you can get away with just running your finger across it so you don't leave like a black mark, but it's still just wash. It's got a place. Oh yeah. Lord. There you go. Like, don't be haphazard. Where the wash runs, you just let it do its thing. Yep. inside here. And I've definitely found it with the tank treads on the Plague Burst Crawler. There are times after the fact you're like, oh, I got to get in there with more of this stuff. But once again, because it's a wash, even if you put it on over some of your rusts, it's pretty passable. I don't think I had to re-rust the treads on that thing after I had to go back and wash it a little bit. Just a little dab will do you. There we go. Looking around. Yeah, under this little spot is a good place to play. Flip. One smooth motion. Dab that around in there. Dab it around in there. Get in here. Yeah, buddy. It's a transformation. Been transformed. Transmogrified. Alright, so that's looking grimier for show. What else did I say I was going to do? I'm going to save the warp lock bronze for last, because when I do that, I think I'm going to desperately want this thing to dry. I've done too much, not crazy detail work, but too much detail work to accidentally spill bronze on something. That's a big no-no. The bronze, very dark, does show up pretty heavily. So I will dab around the little spot that I missed with Gilliman Flesh. I'll do a second coat of Magos Purple on that absolutely creepy face innard spot. Just get right in there, buddy. Gilliman Flesh. Alright. That was good. That was good. Tiny deets, tiny deets. When I do put this guy, when I do glue the front plate of this on, which may actually end up coming up tonight, because I'm coming up on the spot where like I don't need to worry about what's in there all that much. It's got these posts, or these holes for the posts. There's no way in hell this thing is going to fit. It's not going to miraculously snap on. So I may have to cut those posts down to do it. What I'll do is I'll probably snip the actual posts in here off. And if I have to sand these a little bit to get them to sit right, I can do that. But I don't think, there's no way I'm going to reconnect those. The primer that's on there is just like too much to bear. Alright, second round of purple, and in fact, I'm going to hit little purple dots on these guys. Just pay very close attention to what I'm doing. Contrast, not a wash. Just want to dab it so that inside of that little hole gets a little bit of purple. Not a lot of purple, just a little bit of purple. Boop, 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 boop. And then it's going to get a lot of purple on these face innards. Oh, that's gnarly. I think it's going to need some red too. Yeah, it'll probably need some red. Probably leave it just purple on the bottom, but a little wash of perhaps Carroburg Crimson. Perhaps, I think I have a burgundy that's a contrast. That is just like, that's too light. That's just too light. Doesn't look sinister enough. Alright, so if I close this, you're basically just closing up pots to say like, I think I'm done with this step, I think I'm done with this step, I think I'm done with this step. My warp block's over there because it comes up last. There's all these missiles in here. Maybe the rockets, maybe the missiles. I'm gonna hit red on the warheads of those, and then on the front eye lens, I'll hit it with red also. Which would be nice because staring down the barrel of it, you get this bright Mephiston red in a couple spots, which I think will be cool, especially because they're all circular dots if you're looking from the same angle. So aesthetically, that should be somewhat pleasing. There we go. Nice happy brush. Scoot that. Get some on my palette. Yeah, it's just that it's a complicated dry fit right now. It'll be fine. I'm not too worried about it, but I'm going to snip down a little bit so that you're absolutely right. Like dry fit first. I'm going to be super careful with it. It's just that now it's coated enough where it doesn't have any of that slipperiness of just model plastic on model plastic when you just start doing one of those pressed together models. Yeah, maybe I should do this so you guys can see what I'm doing. Maybe that would be helpful. Oh, zoink. Yeah, we got a little red on there. That's all right. I'll just throw some green slime over it and heal everything. Mephiston red, my scary color. Everything's real. Once you start working in Mephiston red, all the stakes get raised. That water, smooth that out a little bit. Just like optimum 50s nail polish red. It's like super red. Mephiston red. Maybe it's Maybelline, or maybe it's Mephiston red. You can see looking straight down the barrel of it, you know, these nice red spots. And then this eye lens will get red. Be super careful about it. Dab a little paint on there to begin with and just barely push it around. Just going to take a bunch off of the brush, give it a little twist so I get a tip on there, and a little dabarino of water, and just massage it around a little bit. That wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad at all. So now it's got a little bit of red, which is really good. You can see it on that guy. You can see it on there. Breaks the model up a little bit. I love the fact that it's asymmetrical, like missiles on one side, not on the other. That's fun. And now I can hunt for places to add Nurgle's Rot, though I should decide whether or not anything that is a pockmark needs some yellow in it first. I found that, what did I do this on? Which thing got this? Oh yeah, the Malignifier. I think a little bit of Averland Sunset first. Kind of made that stuff a little brighter. Maybe I'll do that. I am going to Nurgle's Rot the center of these three things, but I don't think those will need the yellow. Yeah, just a tiny little scooching back here. Just a tiny little bit of this yellow. And Nurgle's Rot is just going to go like right over that thing. You're going to pile it in, but it's a little translucent, so just a tiny little bit of brightness in there goes a long, long way. Once again, this is the front of the model. So looking at it straight down, getting a little extra color in there would be nice. I don't think there's pock marks all over the place on it. And the most important part for like contrasting this is probably these big green plates. I don't have to hit them all. There are little specks and scratches and holes. I'm not hitting every last one of them. And I'm gonna hit this big guy though, because he's like a pustule. Anything that looks like a pustule, that's a good solid barometer. There, get in there, get in there, all the way up to the point where I can tolerate how shaky my hands are getting. It's all about managing risk. Send it out a little bit. And get in. Heal. And heal. Look at that. You're gonna look disgusting, my friend. Quite ill. I do need to figure out what to do with that crack. But I don't need to do it this second, so I'm not gonna. That is one of those details that I'll just leave for later. Looking at the back, there are some pock marks in there that I do want to hit. I'm using so little paint on this, it's fine. Yeah, I think they are going to get a little bit of Carroburg Crimson. Those missiles are going to need it. They need a little bit of wash. Because that Mephiston red is flat. Super flat. And I can leave this guy here. This guy gets a dot. This guy gets a dot. And I don't need to wait all that long to drop the Nurgle's rot on this. Don't need to wait all that long at all. I'm barely dabbing any paint into these holes. And Nurgle's rot is like liquid glass. It does not slip and slide around. In fact, I'm pretty confident that I can leave the second piece to chill there. I can wash this brush and get into the rot business pretty quickly. I'm going to go get my Carroburg Crimson though, because I think that Carroburg Crimson is also going to be really nice to get a little bit more color out of that maw. Just give that a preemptive shake. Normally, that would be lined up. It is lined up. I can see that it's almost lined up. It's not perfectly lined up. So I would have to push that pretty darn hard. And now it's practically stuck. I did push it pretty darn hard. Now we're gently going to not wreck this entire model in its last moments. Oh, it is. That dry fit is roughneck. Make sure that these guys are loose enough. They are. That dry fit is not happy. Hopefully this does not turn into a fiasco. Top is popped. Let's use a tool to be safe. Get a little leverage in there. It is the bottom post that is giving me woes right now. There we go. Brief moment to reflect, but basically that thing was totally jammed on there and it was unhappy. And there was a gap, I would say about maybe 1/4 of a centimeter. At the very least, these posts don't need to be nearly this long. So if I take all 4 of these posts down a bit and optimally at a bit of an angle, then those holes should make it, they can get over it because it's not a perfect flat cylinder on the end. But yeah, I do have to kind of just miracle it into existence. All right. That was a little over dramatic. I don't need to miracle it into existence. I just need to cut it the right way and do so with confidence. Gone. Mostly gone. Gone. I'm doing it at an angle so that it'll slide in a little easier. Little bits of model go flying around my office. All right, now when I do this, I'm not actually going to push this time. It's still dry. Look under there, line up everything. I'll go like this, and then I'll push it in. You think that works? My biggest concern is that the top of this won't close up enough. I'm going to be super careful and take a piece of that off. And if it doesn't reach, it doesn't reach. I'd rather it didn't reach than stop the actual thing from making it the whole way. Because it can be secured entirely with other points of contact, right? Bam, closed my eyes for it. Ooh, that's interesting. That hole doesn't go down all that far. Ah, good to know. All right, so now it pretty snugly can go like this. Oh man, that's so much safer. That is so much safer. So anticipating a little bit of contact here. Get our glue out. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's turn this guy into a real boy. Or gal. Into a real gal. Or they to a real they. Whatever works. Whatever floats your boat. And I don't have to torch it. Do that. Get on each one of these posts. So here's the other thing that I do now with these. I just thought about this the other day. With all of these, like, fit the post into the doohickey models. I put the glue on. And I let it patiently sit there a bit because it only takes like 10 or 20 seconds for it to start softening the plastic. And if the post and the hole are relatively soft, they'll smush in. If they're not, then you end up jamming the thing up and freaking out like I always do. So I'm not going to freak out. As I said, I'm going to put a little seam of stuff here in case we get contact. And then we're going to 1, 2, 3 go this thing. 1, 2, 3. I'm not getting any of that yellow on myself. I did just get glue on myself. 1, 2, 3 go. All right. So that is lined up. That is lined up. That is lined up. And the hope is that it hold it. No. But you do need to stay closed. You stay closed up there. You stay in contact here. I have to hold it like this. But it's cool. It's cool. It's not cool. There we go. I do need to hold it at all these points. I need to keep an eye on this back part. That's actually more important than the front. That this part sits down and doesn't have an open seam there. There's a little space there, that's fine. I'm going to jam that thing full of glop anyhow. So this might require like a seam of glue. It might not. If I hold it like this, I pray to the old gods and the new. Hopefully it'll seal up. And I really hope it does. And it's not. Oh, buddy, come on. Play nice. I did do the immediate sort of thing, and I appreciate that like the sort of glue comes out and makes hold, but if for whatever reason you don't, more often than not, I don't have a problem with the hold. I have a problem with the post being too long for it to slide all the way in. And so a little bit of smush, or obviously clipping the end off of the thing works too. I've just found in my case, you know, obviously your mileage may vary, but in my situations. Just dab some of this on here first. Yeah. Most of the struggles I've had are with things that, when you push them together, they push back and they have a rugged seam. I'm just gonna hit this whole seam with it. Don't worry about it later. There we go. There we go. If I'm not too rough with it, I'm just gonna hold it this way. Give it a minute count. If I'm not too rough with it, it should hold tight. Yeah, it's already starting to. Yeehaw. We're getting close. It looks like a unit you could field. Give it a hold for just a little bit longer. We're close. There's absolutely some more block bronze that goes on that bell, this whole spine thing, this back boot. Definitely some more metally stuff. And there's a decent amount of Nurgle's rot to put on here. But we are close. In fact, probably should hit some of those pustule things with some yellow, but I think they'll be fine actually with rot because they're not going over dark green, they're not going over white. All right, let's get this show on the road. We're gonna put the cap. So funny that the metal post that comes out of this thing is like so blackened from how many times I've torched it just to get the process going, get things flowing. All right, Nurgle's rot, do your magic. And once again, I don't have to hit every little hole. I do want to hit every single place that I hit with yellow. I don't want to leave that bright yellow just floating out there in the wind. But by and large, it's like deposit glop, have a nice day. And it's interesting to me because it's pretty cloudy when you place it down, and then as it dries, it gets a little bit more translucent. But as I was saying, I'll leave some holes for the eventual Agrax Earthshade. Scoot that stuff back, make some space for myself. There we go. That's happy times. Those look gross. Good amount of snot right in there. Just ball. And it's thick enough where if you dab it in heavy, you'll get that like surface tension. It'll stick out. You can always hit it a second time too to give it a little bit more elevation. But this stuff is like so thick. Like gloss. And it hugs itself. Oh yeah, you're looking nasty. Looking nasty. I'm a little torn as far as whether or not I want to put this inside those 3 circles now. I don't know. I don't know. Is it fashionable? All right, there's some more yellow dots. That looks okay. I say in my least confident voice, that looks okay. The spots that I don't hit with this or the yellow, they just like soak up some wash. Like bullet rounds just hit them more recently and haven't had time to fester. Spin. Find another couple little spots for it. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good glop. Yeah, loving it. So as I was saying before, there's these spots on the flesh as well. Oh yeah. Looking ill. Looking ill. I love it. Keep it gangster. Yeah, you're just pushing around a little bit. It is happy. Yeah. Boop. Spin him around on the spikes. That looks pretty gross. And as this dries, the other thing to keep in mind is that when I hit it with some Agrax, you probably can't tell. I don't know if there's a way I can turn this where you'd possibly see it, but like it does rise above those holes. And so done right, a wash will actually hug the sides of these things pretty nicely. These bloaty pustules of goodness. Let that guy sit. Obviously, when I use Nurgle's Rot, gotta clean this brush excessively. I don't use one of my green brushes for this stuff, even though it's technical, because you really need a fine point to like stab those little zit hole things. And my green brushes are all beat to heck. This guy's got a little curve on the end. Not much I can do about that. Not that I know of. All right. So I have a couple minutes. This guy is glued together, so I don't have to worry about that. I've changed my mind. I'm going to do silver inside of these holes. I think that'll be interesting and safe. Two of my favorite things. I don't know how the rest of the world handles these little holes, but I suppose I could have put magenta in them, but I don't feel like it. Just want it to not be a solid circle of, yeah, that looks cool. That looks neat. I'm gonna get in here a little bit around these missiles very gently. Just want a little bit of metallic in the background. I don't want to hit those red parts that I so painstakingly circled up. Like an air machine. Okay, there we go. So those parts done. I said there was a couple other lead belcher spots. There we go. There's one. There's one. Okay. Okie dokie. Spin my arm and this model around very strangely. Okay. Looking promising. Just checking. I hope I'm done with that silver stuff. Now, if I'm savvy about it, while I let the Nurgle's Rot finish, I can, not going to be the last phase, they're audible, without holding the model a lot, I can sort of get a bunch of this Warplock Bronze stuff done. Just got to be careful. This is all just water it down a little bit, clean the brush. It's the central spine. It's the pieces of the boot. I can grab us like this, and it's that bell right there. But we are zeroing in. We're getting pretty close. I don't think it'll be done tonight, but I can sort of taste it. And if I leave that Nurgle's Rot to dry while I do this part, I'll be able to hit this thing with one last coat of wash. I'll feel very good. Feel like I've accomplished a lot. I will have done enough where I'm happy to like call it a night, and then tomorrow take a look with fresh eyes, see the few tiny things that I still want to do to it. All right, so that bell, or whatever it is, I think it's a bell. It looks like a weird bell monogram thing. Done. Get some more glop over here. Brush up. Not too much water. This metallic will get smooth. Yeah, there you go. Some nice contrast down the spine. All these little spikes on all the sides. I love this paint. So dark yet so shiny. I think the sound you heard was my computer in the background spinning up, trying to blow out some heat. It's got quite a lot of fans on it. I'm going to keep this hold like this. I do also have to remember that I have to get under that thing, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Gently, gently. There we go. Yeah, this part's a little scary, but it's fine. I do like the fact that it has this arch on it because it absolutely harkens back to that Plague Burst crawler. It's got them on both sides. Like, it's a really interesting aesthetic tie-in. Like, yeah, it's Nurgle, but Nurgle got style. Not all haphazard. It's not 8 different kinds of jewelry being worn. It's like you got bells, you got sensors, you got these thematically consistent spikes. You're in good hands. You're in good fashion hands. So, getting under here is scary. Scary. So we just go slow. Nice and slow. All right, I can see that from a distance. It's a nice long arch. Going into full mouth breather mode. Dab here. Yeah, looking good. You're looking good. Get just the end of these little bits. Yeah. Yeah. Everything's under control. Everything's under control. Part of the funny part of streaming this is that by having to sort of, I mean, I don't have to talk continuously, but a lot of the stuff that I'm saying to hopefully keep you guys from falling asleep is actually keeping me from freaking out while I do this. I'm like pep talking myself into maintaining some level of confidence. So spin it like that, see underneath it. See all of your secrets. Paint. Dab, 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 dab. Very careful in the front. New grip. These are all awkward spots. And it was absolutely the exact same way on the Plague Burst Crawler getting underneath here, but it's cool. It's cool. Alright, so with that done, as long as I don't grab it by that thing, just need to hit this tiny area on the back. At this point, my Nurgle's rot should be dry enough that I can run some washes and have that be a good spot to call it for the evening. Should be good. I feel like I got quite a bit done. This went from definitely it's in parts and not painted enough to, hey, it's actually got a decent amount of detail and it's painted almost enough. Make sure you get the whole spike from every angle. Go over it a little there, but that's cool. That's cool, buddy. All right. Just stare at it blankly from several angles until you feel good about it. I am going to get this leading edge up here. Not going to go nuts. Just going to get the edge. It'll look better if I get it. And I'll feel bad if I don't. Oh, found another spot. So the other part that I got to get, do I? Yeah, I do. This ring that goes around there, is that going to be more complicated than I think? Am I getting myself into trouble? Nope, I'm not. We're doing this. All right. There we go. Yeah, we got to hit these. These do matter. Not a lot. They're definitely, they're metal bindings. They're not fleshy. It is important. Just because I feel like I'm getting close to a point of closure. Thanks, dude. Funny how that happens. As much as I feel like I'm getting close to a point of closure, doesn't mean you need to rush. Everything in check. It is starting to look pretty good, isn't it? I'm psyched. I'm very psyched. Let's make sure I'm not touching anything bad. Oof, that was a bit of an oof. Get some water in there. You right up. Fixed it. This guy's looking pretty stylish. He needs a little bit more washing. But, like, you can grab him by here. Yeah, that's a neat looking model. Alright, so with that in mind, bring out the Caribou Crimson first, not the mouth. Yeah, they do. No, they do look clean. I'm definitely not going to get to the next pass on the tracks tonight. I have to do that like absolutely last. I won't hit the tracks too much until I like next session when I base it, because whoop, spinny. Those tracks will get a lot of intentional dirt on them. All right, so Caribou Crimson goes in. I'm gonna hit the eye lines with a little bit of it too. That'll just give it a little bit of shade. Yeah, that's good stuff. Darken those guys up. Good call, Ripley. Good call. And then into the mouth we go. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that makes that a lot better. That looks like a creepy maw now. I'm tempted. Maybe next time I might put some blood on the teeth. I might not. That might be gratuitous, but it might be cool. Yeah, that's good. All right, now we get to. I think next time it'll probably be the tracks and the rust that I'm going to do on any of the metallics that need it. This time we're just going to end. Don't put your finger there. We're going to end strong with some Agrax Earthshade. Part 2. Open this up. This will bring things around. I don't know how heavily I want to do this. It's pretty heavy. I do have some of that medium. I don't think it'll hurt it. I just don't want it to be like a total hot mess of Agrax. You know what? I'm having second thoughts. How heavy do I want to lay this stuff on? Not heavy. So interestingly enough, the reason I'm sort of having second thoughts is that some of that Agrax is still coming up underneath that 8K slimy green. I'm wondering if I can literally just kind of get away with a little bit of stuff around these cracks. Just get it sunk in and around these edges. That might be enough. I might not need to dunk the thing at all. The edges definitely need it. Dab. Some spots are desperate for it. Some spots aren't. If I do the whole thing, it's going to be pretty darn Agraxy. I suppose I could pick a couple panels. Just hit those in the right spots. I don't know. I'm tormented. Spots I know I need to hit are things like into these grates and near these bolts. Those absolutely are just going to get some. Maybe I'll just do a little bit of it. See how I feel about it. Hit some of those metallics that are still too shiny. That guy. Yeah, there we go. Lord. You're a little too shiny too there, buddy. Yep. Like, there are little cracks and creases, and I can see. I don't know that I want to hit every last one of these little bolts, like with a dot, but maybe I do. You know what? That was a good time to stop, let everything cure, reflect on what we've done, see how I feel about it. In the mountain. I think that's the real verdict here. I mean, all in all, yeah, the spikes it's looking pretty rad. You wouldn't want to square up on this thing anywhere. I'm pretty psyched about it. Yes, there's more details I want to do, but it's 11 o'clock here, and I do understand. That's a very reasonable hour for most of the people on this call. But I think I'm going to let this guy sit. I feel very good about it. He's a happy little tank. A happy little tank with a big old smile. There's one eye. This full cartridge of missiles. There are definitely more things I'm going to do. I'm just not going to do them tonight. I'm going to let this paint cure. Yeah, it's getting late. Yeah, for you, it's like, it's getting early for you. It's tomorrow. Anywho, fun model, fun ride so far. I'll ponder finishing touches on it. I do have a pile of semi-put together Plague Marines. By my count, I think I need, if I have 7 right now, I think I just need 8 more. I don't know. I'll just keep painting. It'd be fun. Yeah, 4:07 a.m. Show up for work at 8. And then after that, we're getting in Mortarian territory. So thanks a bunch. It's fun having you around. Thanks for keeping me company and being such good folks. And maybe next time we'll do a couple more little things to this guy and then work on some Marines. Hope you have a great night. Bye-bye.